Welcome to Social Aloe Ministries, where we are committed to glorifying God while exposing the devil. There are times when the Lord sends me assignments and it is very clear. Other times, it may be a feeling, it may be a smell, a thought. Well, today, the Lord sent me to a pastry shop for cupcakes specifically. And the thing is, when I was speaking with a person about recommendations, she said that she was burnt out on cupcakes. And it's like, wow, here I am. I really didn't have a craving for cupcakes. And I'm like, there's so many people who have cravings for cupcake, but she's around them all the time and she no longer craves them. And it made me think about relationships. How a lot of times people pursue what they can't have, but don't want what they have or can't get. But there's a whole lot more. And I'll share at least some of those things as the Holy Spirit brings them to my mind. She was around cupcakes. It didn't matter how they were arrayed, how tasty they looked. She didn't want them. She had no desire for them. It didn't matter how close they were, it didn't matter how great they smelled. She had no desire for them. There are times when it comes to relationships that people think that if they can get close, if they can get in that person's line of sight, that's going to increase their chances. And if there's no desire, it's not going to happen. Another thing is, when it came to mind about going to the pastry shop, I had no craving for cupcakes, no desire for cupcakes. But because the Lord placed in my heart, so to speak, I went. And I wasn't absolutely sure it was him. I was like, okay, is this my flesh speaking, so to speak? Or is this the Lord sending me an assignment? One of the thing is, when the Lord sends you somewhere, you will know based on the outcome. Sometimes nothing spectacular is going to happen. And it wasn't like the Lord said to me, go down to the potter's house, like he did in Jeremiah 18. Go down to the potter's house and I'll show you something. It wasn't like that. It was simply a feeling about going to the pastry shop. And when I went there, started learning all these lessons. And that was confirmation that the Lord had sent me. And Jeremiah received a word from the Lord. And when that thing came to pass, he said, then I knew it was the word of the Lord. So with the Lord placing this in my heart, I went. When it comes to relationships, the man is the one who does the pursuing. In a sense, you can say the woman is like the cupcake, and not that she's trying to present herself in a way that is trying to seduce a person, or she's putting herself out there, so to speak. All she has to do is be herself. Because when I went there, yes, I did get some cupcakes, but I wasn't going to get any cupcake. Some things may have looked visually appealing, but they weren't spiritually appealing. So it's more than just looks. Other things may have looked great, but they wouldn't have tasted great because they're not designed for my palate, for my taste. But it does mean that those cupcakes are any less than the ones that I chose. The cupcakes that I chose, those were for me. The others were for someone else. So my responsibility was to leave those alone. A lot of people are in relationships that they shouldn't be in, and it's causing problems because they're basically holding on to someone else's cupcake. It may have been appealing initially, but it came a point to realize that this is not my cupcake. But because the Lord placed it in my heart and he gave me the permission to go, I went. If you are a woman interested in a man, if the Lord places it in a man's heart to reach out to you, he will. In some cases, the man may have his eye on you, so to speak, but all he's waiting for is the Lord to say, go get her. And I actually read a love story yesterday of a couple that I know of. And they mentioned about how they met. And one of the things was the Lord spoke to the man and told him, reach out to her. And that's what he did. Now, even though I say that the man pursues, there are times when the Lord may bring a woman to a man. In the book of Ruth, it took a Naomi to realize that there could be something between Ruth and Boaz. And Naomi was the one who told Ruth about presenting herself to Boaz, how to do it. And when Boaz saw her, it was up to him to take action. But Boaz realized that there was someone else in line to marry Ruth. And he did everything within his power to ensure that if he was going to marry Ruth, he was going to do it the right way. And he did. If you're a woman pursuing a man, and you have presented yourself to him, and he's not biting, so to speak, if you continue pursuing him, you're going to fall into error. You're going to fall into error. So Lord just placed in my heart to go to the pastry shop. And because of my relationship with him, because of my trust in him, because of my obedience, I went. But if the Lord had not told me to go, I would not have gone. Because I wasn't even thinking about cupcakes at the time. But it's amazing how the lady, she was around cupcakes all the time and she had no desire for them. That brings up another thing. We have to be careful that we don't fall into lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, and pride of life. Because she was around cupcakes all the time, she didn't lust after them. But there are people who are lusting after those cupcakes because they are not around them. And the satisfaction they get from those cupcakes is only going to be temporary. The Lord is an incredible teacher. And if you're receptive to what the Holy Spirit of the Lord is saying to you, he can use just about anything to teach you incredible things. I had no idea what to expect at the pastry shop, except possibly getting some cupcakes. But it was just amazing. Also, when I asked the young lady's opinions, because I decided I was going to get a certain amount, and there were 2 cupcakes, and I wasn't quite sure which one. I asked her for her recommendation. All she could do was recommend. But the thing is, if she wasn't giving me a revelation from the Lord, she could have told me something that she liked, but not something that I liked. That's another thing. When it comes to relationships, ensure that you are pursuing someone you desire, someone the Lord is telling you, for example, is maybe a God-ordained spouse, as opposed to pursuing someone because others are encouraging you to pursue that person. I know there are things that I'm not saying that I learned in a cupcake shop, but even though the cupcakes tasted great, and I still have 2 left, the lessons that I learned were priceless. And maybe now you'll never look at cupcakes the same way. Oh, and by the way, I went in for cupcakes, and it turns out that I had some special cookies, but those had to be special ordered. And they had them on display, but I couldn't even buy them. I could not even buy those cookies. See, if it was just up to me, I'd have chosen the cookies instead of the cupcake. But the Lord closed that door. Do not try to open doors that the Lord has closed. So even though the cookies were more appealing to me than the cupcakes were what I was meant to have on that day. I hope this message blessed you. God bless you.